Hey everyone, it's John. I just want to start the process of having a discussion on hunting. Now again, this is geared towards people that are new to this activity, so it's not necessarily for anyone that already has a firearm or is going to acquire one and have their mind set on that. I'm not here to change anyone's mind on that or to argue different points of ballistics. I am a recovering ballistics geek. When I was younger, much younger, I went through ballistics and studied it very intensely, and I had my own opinions back then. But as I'm older now, I definitely have a different opinion or approach to firearms in terms of what the right caliber is for hunting. To put it very plainly, it's not necessarily, I don't think there is an ideal cartridge. Not to start any controversy or anything, but it's what you are comfortable shooting. Ultimately, if it's a 243 Winchester, then that's the right cartridge for you. It's a 30-30, if that's something that you're given and you're comfortable with, that's the right cartridge for you. In terms of actions, again, same approach. If semi-automatics is the way you feel is the way to go, then that's great. Levers, bolts, pumps, anything of those actions, that's great as well. So I'm not a fanboy of a particular cartridge. I am comfortable with a certain cartridge. I think I could be comfortable with other types of ammo or actions. I'm just not going to, how I'm going to say this, I'm not going to be a cheerleader for any particular manufacturer, caliber, or action. So it's what you're comfortable with. But if you're going to ask me, hey John, what would you suggest a beginning hunter would be with a limited resources? I would probably say it would depend on the person, I guess. I would probably say, hey, if historically the cartridge that has put down the most deer would probably be the 30-06 or the 30-30. I'd say start there for that discussion. If that's too heavy of a caliber, obviously it'd be a 270 and so forth. So there'd be several questions other than just what do you feel is a necessary caliber. It does start with the person's perception. Some people feel, for example, not to cloud this discussion, but they feel that a semi-automatic is for some reason not acceptable for whatever reason. So that the discussion would be, starting at that point. But if it's just a blanket question, I'd say 30-30, 270, 30-06, somewhere in that area. A well-known caliber, a caliber that there's plenty of ammo out there. I'm not one to have someone start on a caliber that's not very known or have limited quantities available. I've always, me personally, I've started with a 30-06. It's only because my dad had a 30-06 and I was comfortable with that caliber. At the time, was a fairly known caliber, and everyone basically used it in Maine, to be honest with you. If it wasn't a 30-30, it was a 30-06. So I went with the heavier caliber. I used to be a 30-06 fan. I'm still a fan, but there was always either a 308 or a 30-06 type of thing. I'm no longer, rooting for one particular caliber over another. So basically, that is what I would say. And the same thing for bows. Same thing for handguns, to be honest with you. It's what you're comfortable with. You can have other discussions on dependability and for bows, noise and smoothness and all those sort of things, but it always comes down to what are you comfortable with, what are you comfortable shooting every day, and you got to think about those things. If you're afraid of the gun or the bow or whatever, you're not going to shoot properly. So it's a comfort level. And if you don't know what that is, I would start doing some research and maybe talking with people that own different types of actions and calibers and so forth and have that conversation. There's plenty of information out there in terms of like getting an understanding of what the kick's like and or how a bow shoots and so forth. You can really get bogged down in the actions and the calibers and so forth. But ultimately, your ultimate goal, in my opinion, from my experience, is to find something that you're going to be comfortable with. Don't go too light if you feel like it's not enough gun for you, unless it's something, in my opinion, that would be over the top, like a 338 Winchester Magnum or something like that. If it's a reasonable caliber, something below, obviously, that, then I would, if you're a beginner, I would start somewhere in that range. So that's my little spiel on something related to what you want to buy. Obviously, it'd be 20 gauge, 12 gauge, shotgun if it's shotgun only in your area, but ultimately it comes down to your comfort level. At the moment of truth, someone else, your friend isn't going to shoot the deer, you're going to shoot the deer. And it's important that you kill it humanely and quickly. So it's not about, I shot the deer with, I'm picking on the 338, of course. I shot it with the 338. It won't matter. If you place the bullet right, the deer will die. And obviously, you're not going to, and you don't want to undergun yourself, too. So it might be a seesaw, but it's what you're comfortable with. So think about those things. And meat loss, in my opinion, again, this is strictly my opinion, is not a point to be made. It's about killing that deer humanely and quickly. Harvesting that deer the right way. So, comfort and how your mindset is. And if someone, just a side note, I guess, on this discussion, if someone's really pushing a particular caliber, if you have any sort of, or action, if you have any sort of reservations, make sure you weigh those reservations heavily over that person's. Now, I'm not saying discount it. I'm just saying if you personally have something in the back of your mind that makes you not want to go with that suggestion or even weigh that decision, do some research and try to bounce things around. If you have your mindset on a bolt action, I'm just going to throw in a manufacturer, Remington's 700 that you see at Cabela's or whatever, and if you're completely committed to that, if it's within a reasonable range that has a caliber that everyone knows about, that you're comfortable with, and all these other factors, go with that. If you're completely up in the air, which I would probably be, if I was starting today, knowing my personality type, I would literally be all over the place. For example, let me just give you some background. Not to make this video too long, but I was honestly thinking about getting another type of caliber. And because I have a 30-06, I wanted something a little more. After just months, to be honest with you, let's say what it was. It was years of research. Looking at the types of manufacturers, looking at the types of bullets out there, looking at actions and so forth and so on. When it really came down to it, the most important thing is your comfort level. And to me, I came right back down to 30-06. I'd be more than happy to take a 300 Winchester Short Magnum, for example, or a 300 Winchester Magnum, or any of those semi-exotic calibers, a 270 Winchester Short Magnum. I'm just throwing things out. 7mm Remington Magnum. All these type of calibers. When it's all said and done, it comes down with your comfort level. And that's what it came down to me. I'm going to continue using the 30-06, and I have reasons for that. I'm still not sure of the action. So having said all that, I just want to let people know that it's not about having the biggest gun in the woods, how much kick you're going to have. It really is comfort level and how you're going to hunt. That's another thing that I haven't mentioned, and maybe I'll do 2 videos on this. And I know for a fact I'll be talking about this in more detail, but if someone's thinking about hunting and they want to do it soon, I would honestly think about what your perceptions are, what the feedback you receive, and how you perceive those suggestions. It really is, there is a level of trust that you have to do, but ultimately you're the person who's going to be hunting. You're the one who's going to be pulling the trigger. It's important that you're comfortable with those decisions that you make, especially for a firearm. So think about those things. It's not the caliber, it's not the action, it's not the manufacturer. It's what you perceive the right thing is for you.